This is a map of the bike route that I took when I was riding around Krakow, trying to go to kind of the outer edges of it instead of the main city part that everybody goes to. The cool thing about this is that I use the Wayvelo city bike, and with your account, they give you a GPS tracking of everywhere you went. So that blue little pin mark with the check mark in the middle is where I started and where I ended. And here are the, I guess, details of my trip. And it was about 2 hours and almost 13 kilometers, which is like 8 miles. So I really got a really good look outside of the city center just to see what it's like in some other places where normal people live, not where all the tourists are. So here I am riding through the neighborhood, pretty close to where my Airbnb was. It's not in the city center, it's a little bit outside, but it's still kind of city like with a lot of apartment buildings and they're all next to each other, not a lot of small houses or anything like that. You can see the neighborhood is really nice looking, not super crowded or anything. Straight ahead is this really nice long park that on the weekend there's a lot of small vendors there selling things. There's classes like yoga classes and some classes for young kids and stuff. So there's a lot of families walking through there, hanging out. Really cool place to hang out on a nice summer afternoon. And this is the good thing, I think, that you can do when you go to a city and get on a bike and just go explore. Because usually the tourist places are not really indicative of what the whole place is really like. Just like Times Square in New York is not what all of New York City is like. So it's kind of like going to the outer boroughs of Queens or Brooklyn or the Bronx to see how the regular people live, how it really looks like outside of the tourist areas. So that's what I like to do when I get the chance, especially if there's a good bike rental and it's bike friendly like Krakow is. I like to get on and just explore for a few hours. So here I am on my bike a little farther out from the city center, and I started recording here just because I was interested in that little house with this kind of big yard. I thought it was pretty cool, kind of like a tiny home kind of thing, and it looked pretty cool. I sometimes imagine myself having just a little house like that with a pretty big yard in a decent neighborhood like this. And you see, this neighborhood is very quiet, although there is some construction going on, some new buildings being built, but relatively there's not a lot of people around. Some ladies riding their bikes. It looks like a really nice little residential neighborhood, and still, it's not super far from the city center of Krakow. I mean, from here to get to the city center is probably, I don't know, maybe a mile or so. So someplace you can easily get by bike or even walking if you had to. I'm sure there's probably some public transportation, a train or a trolley or somewhere, something close by here. And so I just ride and see where it takes me. And here I come across some little bridge with a stream. How cool is that, right? I'm not really sure where this is going, but I just keep going. And if I get lost, all the better, because usually I find something even more interesting. Or I run back into the same place that I was and figure out where I've been going. So this place seems like some little kind of park. I don't know. But here there are some individual houses. Some actually look pretty nice, really suburban looking. They look almost a little kind of German looking or something. You know, really nice stone looking concrete houses. Here's some more apartment buildings, but they're mixed in with these what look to be single family houses. So this is a really nice neighborhood, and I wouldn't mind living someplace like this. Seems quiet enough, and you kind of have the suburban feel to it, but if you want to go to the city center, it's not far away, but you're separated from the loudness and the crowds and stuff until you actually want that. So it's nice and quiet. Not a lot of stores around here, but maybe I just didn't run into the right direction. I don't know. So here I'm riding back towards the main road, and I saw these buildings over here, and I wanted to video them. They look really nice. Not sure whether they're what, 3 families or 6 families each, but it's a pretty nice looking block with some really nice buildings here. Place that I wouldn't mind living. And you got this lady on a bike telling me I'm going the wrong way. So I cross over just to go the right way in the traffic, even though it's not like there's a lot of people on bikes or cars or even on foot around here. But anyway, this is a really nice little neighborhood here. It's a little kind of what I consider, I don't know, semi-suburban area, even though it's pretty close to the main road here and some bigger office buildings. So it's close to the city center and the commercial areas, and yet it's still pretty quiet. You would think it's even farther out, but that's a good look at the outskirts of Krakow, and it's really fun to go see places like this. So if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and check out the future videos that I'm going to be putting up soon for more Krakow.